What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Cocker Trading Investing. Greetings from Mexico. Hope you all are doing well and had a great weekend. Many of you celebrating the 4th of July. Me and my wife ended the 4th of July weekend by watching Will Smith's Independence Day last night. Classic. That was back from 1996. We have and continue to have risk on in the markets, everything that we have been leaning towards and looking for. We're looking at the dollar trading down pretty significantly this morning. And we do have on the calendar as well, though, we have ISM non-manufacturing PMI. We'll watch for that number coming out in about exactly 1 hour. And we'll watch to see if the dollar reacts off of that. Either way, it should continue to be, good for the markets, risk on, right? No, bad is good right now. Good is good. Lots of worries in the markets. Lots of worries. We've talked about and addressed all of those things. We're really going to focus this session. I mean, we're going to give a nice overview of everything, but we're going to focus on FX pairs. So really quick before we do that, let me go over the S&P. Let me go over the equity markets. Let me go over the DXY. Gold and silver having beautiful days. Silver leading today. Crude also bid, and Bitcoin also bid, outperforming both gold and silver. It's a nice day here in the markets and want to look for opportunity. Tomorrow, is it going to be turnaround Tuesday? That's the question we're looking at over here. But we do have a lot of momentum here. It looks like we have the possibility of a trend day during the New York session. That would be great. You have to look around you, beware of your surroundings. What type of market are you in right now? Well, we got for the overall general direction of the market, right? We feel pretty comfortable, right, with our read on it. We understand that the economy itself is deteriorating. We're worried about insolvency, but right now we've just seen the Fed come, aggressively address a crisis, and right now we are seeing ample liquidity. What happens when the Fed is doing QE? Stocks go up, right? So here we are. And What's going on as well with the NASDAQ? S&P is leading the way so far, it looks like this morning. S&P is leading the way. No, it's the Dow. It's the Dow leading the way. And that's nice to see. It's nice to see the markets all up together. Anyway, let's talk about the dollar for a second. I want to get into those. I want to go on my treasure hunt. I want to look at the FX pairs and see what's going on. But before we do that, yep, Will. So what are the implications for that as far as a stronger dollar? I mean, once all the swap lines are paid back, right? We still have that. It's a dollar-based system. People need dollars. Right? And, although some central banks are able to get a hold of their dollars, others are not. We're seeing in Lebanon right now, we're seeing price inflation 100% daily in food. So we are seeing some dollar problems around the world. Here, we're looking right now, though, definitely you could see, let me zoom out a little bit. You could see I know together we've been, on top of all of this. We were looking here for the rejection that has now come off over here. What's happening with the dollar now that it actually looks like it is stretching down out of that rejection, and it looks like it's resuming towards, first we have the 96.47 support, and then below there we'll see what happens. But watch the ISM today. We're either going to have a trend day. Everything looks good on the markets, or just watch for a reversal around 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time when the ISM non-manufacturing print comes out. We'll watch that together. Just, watch out for a reversal. But it looks like we're having a trend day. You see silver up here. This is where we were looking at silver, right, into the support. And it continues to be the same plan for gold, silver. Anyone looking to position themselves into them, you're looking to buy off any pullbacks into sports. We're looking at a multi-year bull market in the works over here. We haven't broken out to new highs yet. This thing is just getting started. There's plenty of time to position yourself into the precious metals. And if you don't own precious metals, I myself own, a portion of my wealth in physical gold stored on multiple continents. You got to look for gold and silver, specifically gold, as definitely that longer term protection. Right now, we are living in a world where we could wake up and then the system is no more. That's not happening today. What's happening today is we're looking at the markets are rising, right? Today we're looking for this trend to continue. Right? Until we have a problem. When we have a problem in the markets, we'll be there for the downside. This is when we got involved on the downside heavily right now. All right. There's no, of course, all of this, we weren't out of the crisis yet. All of this was difficult to trade. For me, it was, right? All of this was difficult to trade, right? Had to take the opportunity still from the downside. Markets, as crazy as they, or as mad as they may seem, this is what they're doing. Let's take a look at Bitcoin this minute. Corey, I was trying to figure out what your comment's about. I don't know the context over there. We're looking at Bitcoin is bid today. That's nice. Bitcoin I've done it pretty much. Did anyone see the Bitcoin video on Friday that was released? It was a good one. I hope you enjoyed that one. That gave a really, really good outlook. I have a better one coming sometime to publish this week, which I've already edited in about 90%. Really, I will continue. To definitely be, focusing everyone in on Bitcoin. That's not what we're doing this session, though. This session, we're going to be looking at FX, and I feel like it's because everyone has a really good read on Bitcoin. If you're following the channel and you're keeping up, again, we just really quick, we've talked about this has been a 15% pullback on Bitcoin, right? Good time to buy. Orders in lower. I don't know if they'll get there. And I wouldn't be surprised, right? I wouldn't be surprised even to see, I don't think we're going to see a pullback into 6,500, a 35% pullback or anything like that. I don't think we break this trend line over here to the downside. But I'm prepared that those things can happen, and make sure that I have already arrangements in make sure that if you don't have money on an exchange, you can't buy when Bitcoin, if Bitcoin goes down and trades off 30% in an hour. At this point in time, it's going to rebound just as quick. All right, so let's do it. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming soon enough. That's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying those videos. Jo, good morning. Yen is very weak today. If you look at the US dollar, Japanese yen, you could see that the dollar today is actually, well, they're mixed now. Dollar was stronger than even the yen with that weak dollar we're seeing. So we're seeing that weak Japanese yen all around. Here you can see the breakout happening on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right? And again, we're looking at risk off. There's no, you could see when the market is shaking off. I mean, the virus cases are global right now are growing by $200,000 a day, and the market is not concerned, right? The market's not concerned. So here we are, swing traders. We're focusing on what's happening in front of us. We're not really focusing on what's happening next week or next month. We can't. That's way too far for us to be able to know what's going to happen. We want to have our longer term like ideas and theses, but we want to focus on what's happening right now. And right now, we continue to see the risk on. This is not a surprise. This is what we've been looking for, right? This is where we bought the dip, right? We bought the dip down over here, and we also sold this and this. We sold this down and this down, right? But over here, right, this is what we're looking for. Let's take a look around the markets. And why I was looking at that is because that's risk on, right? Here we have now the Australian dollar Japanese breaking above this resistance right over here. It's already come back down and tested it as support. This is something that you can continue watching right now, waiting for an entry, right? Everyone knows what kind of entry you're looking for, and you need that pullback first. You need the pullback, price making a lower high, pullback, this support area holding, and then a resumption off of it. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, we're seeing risk on. Are we going to see turnaround Tuesday? I mean, I don't know. No one knows that. The markets are notorious for turning on Tuesday. Right now, we got a lot of setups coming in the market. First pair I'm looking at, and I'm already seeing a setup coming into the market. So now I'm getting ready. Euro is the strongest currency pair on the session. Strongest currency pair on the session. And coming up into this trend line over here, this is the area that we've been waiting here, watching price consolidate. People wonder why I was not able to take any trades last week. By the way, it was only since the December 15th, the week of, through January 4th of last year that I didn't take any trades. Last week was the first week, all year, I didn't take any trades. That happened to be because of the holiday week. I was looking Monday and Tuesday for trades, but we were consolidating. It wasn't really a time to look to enter the market. This obviously looks different this week. We're getting ready to break out of here now. We're getting ready to break out over here to the upside. And if we break out to the upside, look where our target becomes. We're looking at this resistance possibly all the way up here. You're talking somewhere around 1.165. So watch out for that over here. The dollar could see some further extension, some further weakness down where we could get a breakout over here. I'm watching that as well. So you could see the session has just started, and already I could see a set of waves on their way in. Now it's a question of how I'm able to narrow it down to what is where I want to be involved, where I want to put my money to work. And let's see, Euro, US dollar coming up into the top of the resistance over here. Am I looking to sell this resistance? Are we going to see a possible turnaround this morning in about 45 minutes when we get the non-manufacturing ISM print? I mean, even if we do, I wouldn't take that to the short side over here. I would not take this. I would not sell this trend line resistance at this point any longer. I did sell this one, and I did sell this one. The difference between these two and this one is now price is showing that it's consolidating. Right now, it's very clear to me that we are consolidating. So I'm waiting now for the breakout. So, I hope we break out to the upside. Boom, be there to look for a retest and then a resumption, or be watching this further if it comes down and tests the lower support over here. Australian dollar, US dollar. Let's take a look over here right now. And this, I'm sorry, that was already in there. That's what we were looking for. It's actually exactly what's happening. Price broke in through this resistance, confirming as support and resuming off. You're seeing the Australian dollar, risk on. But what about which is the better trade today? In hindsight, well, Australian dollar, US dollar, and Australian dollar, Japanese yen are both up 0.5% on the session. So US dollar, Japanese yen are both exactly unchanged on the session. I guess there's no edge whether you're playing against the Japanese yen or the US dollar right now that we could see. So you want to look purely technical, right? So which setup do you like better over here? Here you have the Australian dollar, US dollar. They're very similar, right? They're very similar. And you could see after if you put in this little bit, the reason why you do this is to help yourself going forward. If your brain, it's like training your brain to recognize these patterns that happen all the time, and then you're there to take advantage of them in the future. All right. But what you're seeing here was the consolidation, right? The breakout, the test of the support, and resumption off. Good trade. Now, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, this was horizontal, right? And now it's breaking out and coming in. It's lagging a little bit. So there's the Australian dollar, US dollar. I can't get myself into a trade up here, right? Unless this pulls back again. But the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, this is just broken out. It's setting up for its first entry, right? If it pulls back and then resumes off. So this is on my watch list right now. I'm going to skip over the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. But what about the euro, Australian dollar? Boom, 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 boom. Let me get my breath for a second. We got the yen, also yen weakness up on the board over here. Let me get that off. Here we're looking at the euro, Australian dollar. We've been watching this trend line over here. I just extended it down. I didn't mean to extend it down like that. Let me go ahead and extend that down for you. And you can see that we're coming up into an area of an importance. We're coming up into this trend line. And then horizontally, we have resistance because that was support, which is broken. That's resistance. So this is interesting right now here on the euro, Australian dollar. So keep in mind, and this is when you're following the flow of market, the things that you really need to make stick and you just understand or highlight for yourself. We're looking at risk on Australian dollar, notorious risk on pair, but we're seeing the euro outperform. All right, so just keep a note of those things in your mind. Here as we coming up into this resistance, right? Watch for a breakout above, and here was the last opportunity to try a breakout of that trend line. If we get another breakout here now, I'm watching for a possible long. What about now as we are into resistance, right? Are we looking for shorts? We're in trendline resistance and we're in horizontal resistance and prices below it. Yeah, absolutely. If this trade is rejected here, right, that could provide an entry short here on the euro, Australian dollar. If it breaks out above at the same time, that also does open up the upside. So that watch over on the euro, Australian dollar, you have potential for trades on both sides. This is the euro, Canadian dollar. It's coming up into some resistance over here. Still sideways in a big range. It's really not that interesting to me. What kind of things could I ask myself though? Are we going to be rejected towards the top portion of this range over here and play that back down? Or if I see a breakout over here, do I then want to come and be involved long against the Canadian dollar with the euro? Is the euro falling into favor right now as it's getting ready to break a big technical level versus the dollar? And if the euro is able to break that technical level, I'll show you really quick for those that were not with us just a few minutes ago as we began. But here, if the euro is able to break this, look at this. This is a 5-year trend line, right? Going back up into this area over here. You could see, I want you to see where we are. And if we break above that, the upper trend line comes in play. That's a big move potentially on the euro, US dollar. If we see that happening on the euro US dollar, what about on the euro Australian dollar? Is it possible that we're seeing, on the euro Canadian dollar, are we seeing then an extension or breakout above? And will we test over here? Right? That's a big move. That's a 300 pip move. you know, between the breakout area over here and then this top resistance over around 1.56. FEMA camps are prepped and ready. Woof. Zoom out. Yep, definitely. Zoom out or zoom in. So the reason I'm zoomed out like this, though, by the way, Isan, Hanson Life, the reason I'm zoomed out here is because I'm just looking at all of this range in between this whole area over here. And then I was trying to highlight this portion that this is the resistance up here. And if we break out over here, that's our target. All right. I'm skipping over the euro, Swiss franc, only because that pair is too sketchy, too jumpy. Look at this. I know Heath and a lot of the traders are involved in the euro. British pound holding the support and now resuming upward. Textbook setup over here. Did you have a possible for entry? Yeah, this looks exactly like a London entry. Textbook off support. Textbook. The levels on the right-hand side are not visible. Let me see if I can fix that for you really quick. How about that? I don't like the top of that. We got about 40 minutes to ISM, 10 minutes to the US equity markets open up. Is that a little bit more helpful for seeing the levels? Does that look a little bit better? Better. Better is good. Better is good. Oh, let's do that, Alexander. Let's check out the gold to silver chart over here. And the reason I bring this up is we've taken a look at this. I mean, some amazing stuff. We've taken a look at the gold to silver ratio, and we are expecting, right, much further downside in silver, right? For a long time, I was under the premise before things broke. This is things breaking, right? Before things broke, I was under the impression that the gold to silver ratio would continue to push up, right? But when I looked back at what happened in QE 2008, December 2008, that was the top of the gold to silver ratio. Once the Fed started QE, silver outperforms for whatever reason, and this thing probably has a long way to go. All right, and outside of another crisis. By the way, future mental note. So Brandon, that's awesome. Good job, Brandon. So future, this is really important. Really, if there will be another crisis, right? I mean, it took from 2008 to 2020, 12 years between crises last time. I'm not expecting a crisis tomorrow. Am I expecting another crisis in our lifetimes? Absolutely. Janet Yellen was notorious for, there will never be another crisis in our lifetime. There was another one in her lifetime, right? There's going to be more crises. Is the next one 5-6 years away? That, first one was 12. Is the next one 6 years? Maybe. I don't know, right? But in another crisis, next time we're seeing a crisis develop, and you see them coming, obviously, ahead of time, as we did this one, but knowing how to position yourself is the best. Positioning long versus silver, that seems like we were focused in on Swiss franc and Japanese yen, and the reason I'm taking such a couple of minutes here really enforcing this is for myself. I really, the benefit of all this analysis out is really, what I need to do for myself. That's the reason why I'm really focusing on here. I'm trying to enforce that so that I never forget that. Is really important because it's going to be a while before the next one. So this is a question of the day so far. And so why don't I think the second wave will trigger a deepest crisis than in March, right? Going into the March crisis, we were having, if you've been following the channel, Israel, we've been quite bullish buying S&P on pullbacks. And we're looking for that to continue, right? Yeah, market to the moon. I mean, yeah, I could say that. Sorry, I want to come back. To that important question, Vizel. I definitely want to come back to that in 1 second. So I'm going to leave that up on the screen while I talk about what's going on here with the S&P 500, right? we are seeing risk on. We're looking to buy into any pullbacks. Right. The economy doesn't look good. We're seeing coronavirus increase. What happens if we see a second wave? What is that going to do to the economy? Right. Well, going into the first crisis, we were already having a huge problem. It was back in September when I texted my family chat and told them about the repo and told them that things were breaking. It took quite a while after that. It wasn't until October, November, December, January, February, 5 months later. They were supposed to end the repo in January. They were never able to do that. The market was already broken before coronavirus. And all of that caused this dollar liquidity crisis. The coronavirus was just the little bit of a trigger there, right? The lockdowns were a trigger. But the Fed's response was to act very quickly. Remember, the reason I bring it up is because Warren Buffett's Warren Buffett. The Fed caught him completely off guard. He wasn't able to deploy $120 billion war chest he had in cash because he thought we were going to see more pain before the Fed stepped in. The Fed has no time to wait anymore because if they don't act quick enough, they're behind the curve. The Fed came in enormously and so far has weakened the dollar and kind of eased the system a little bit over here, right? That's where we are right now. What happens if we see a second wave, further lockdowns, further pressure on the economy? Well, we're going to see more stimulus. We're going to see more stimulus, right? And what's that going to do? It's going to continue to inflate asset prices. There's no reason to think anything different until something different starts happening. That's why we have the technicals. We'll just continue following what's happened on the technicals. And if we start seeing the markets really, I don't know, for whatever reason during all of this, we were like Zen traders. For this whole move, we were like, I want to go back in 1 second to the question. We were Zen traders. We weren't, the markets are we were looking to buy. We were looking to buy, unless we broke here. We never broke. We were looking to buy, right? So, I want to come back to that question. And Jordan, lots of investors saying S&P will go up now to 4,000. Do you think it's going that way soon? Do I think we're trading at 4,100 within the next 18 months? I'm not betting on that in the next 18 months. In the next 18 months, I'm betting on Bitcoin. Big difference, right? Do I think, or is there a good chance that within the next 18 months, S&P goes up to 41? If you watch the video over the weekend, I mentioned that, or I'm sorry, that this weekend was 4th of July weekend, going back to last Wednesday, I guess it is. That's exactly what I was talking about. Do I think that's probable? Yeah, I do. I've been mentioning that a lot. Do I think that we could also trade down and test the March lows? I don't think that that's going to happen, but that could also happen. That's the markets, right? So yeah, I think that we're headed up towards 4,100. But again, I'm not betting on that. I'm betting on Bitcoin going up to 100,000 during that same time period. During that same time period, 18 months, I'm betting on Bitcoin going to $100,000, and I'm not betting on the S&P going up to 4,100, which is a better bet, which is less risk. Well, I think there's a lot of risk to the equity markets, but I think ultimately the Fed blowing of the asset bubble is going to prevail. So anyway, fun conversation. So I appreciate that. Boom, 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 boom. Looking, trying to catch up over here. And Buffett could be defensive. He's managing an enormous portfolio. It's an insurance company. He could be defensive, right? And that's what he's doing. He's making his money. And if something happens, and if asset prices are again, this was the time to act, and he didn't, that's fine. He might have another one or even a deeper one. That's still possible. All that could happen. All right. Here we are. By the way, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Excited to be back with all of you. Tomorrow we'll be doing at 10:15 a.m. Right now as the market's open, by the way. Let's take a look at that as the market's open. We're going to be doing a live training session at 10:15 Eastern time. I'll update everyone through email and also through the CTM chat group. All right. Now, again, everyone knows we always see that pullback coming into the U.S. equity markets open a half hour from now. A half hour from now, what we're looking at is boom, 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 ISM non-manufacturing number, right? Forecast is for it to go back to basically just into expansion. All right, just into expansion. I've seen actually non-manufacturing numbers up across the globe. I would not, so I am leaning towards this number being better than expected, right? And if that happens, the market should like it, the equity markets, but I'm not sure what the dollar does, right? Is it possible we see a reversal for the dollar? I mean, we got at a critical point over here where we're either going to break out, and I love forceful breakouts. I love breakouts that pop. Already up 0.8% on the day for the euro US dollar. It's already moved or is close to its daily range, the euro US dollar. How much more of a pop does it have in it? We'll see. We'll see. I want to continue looking around. Here's the US dollar Mexican peso, right? Here's the US dollar Mexican peso. What's the next move? It's carved out a pretty big range, right? Between 23.20 and over here at 22.16. It's a pretty nice range over here. We're now into that support. Are you looking to buy? It's a tough one for me as I look at this and think about this, because there is the possibility here to lean into this support right here if we're able to resume off of it to the long side. At the same time, that would mean that the equity markets are coming down. I'm not really betting against risk right now at all. I'm looking like we are looking risk on. I know that tomorrow could possibly see a turnaround in that. Maybe then I would be more focused on going long on the US dollar, Mexican peso. But right now, I think that risk is going to continue. That might mean we're seeing another, actually a lower leg down here. We could possibly see a lower leg down into 21.50 or lower, depending on what happens here with the markets, right? Because right now we're looking at 3200 next on the S&P, right? And if that breaks, right, then we could see a bigger run here. We could see a bigger, if we break 3200, we've broken out of our range, because I'm expecting the markets to consolidate. So what I'm looking at is, right, I've been looking at like this. So we're at the top of that range right here. I don't have any desire to step in the way and short this. I'm not looking for any short. But if we break above this level, then we've broken out of that consolidation range quicker than expected, because I wouldn't be expecting that until the fall. So just of note, right? Always be aware of where we are. Sand has more value than the US dollar. US dollar Japanese yen is battling it out, and they're unchanged on the day. Is that where you want to focus right now? No. We're watching actually on a much higher time frame. We're watching the US dollar Japanese yen, because a breakout of this 5-year trend line to the upside, well, at that point, maybe some market dynamics have a much weaker yen in the picture, right? But right now, these two continue to battle it out. There's no edge on either one. It's not offering the best opportunity. The US dollar Swiss franc has actually been wonderful. I've not focused there at all. I tend to stay away from Swiss franc pairs. But there it is. What about the US dollar, Canadian dollar? Would you say smart money is in the market right now? Hey, the only smart money is the money making money. That's the only smart money is the money. But as far as institutions right now, interesting thing has happened, GP. We've seen, and we were talking about the fact that a lot of pensions had a rebalance going into the end of the month, into the end of July. And this is what we saw. I forget the number. We've talked about it during the afternoon updates. The number was a big number. They had to go from about 65% net long equities to 45%. I forgot the number they were selling. It was a big number, but we knew that it was coming before it happened. We talked about that also. Here was the pullback on all that selling from the pension funds. So that's pension funds. What about institutions, hedge funds? I think hedge funds have caught up to the retail traders in getting long, right? Retail remains long. I don't know if retail remains long, actually. I don't know if retail remains long or if they're just selling a lot of put options, maybe. But that's dangerous. If you remember going back, you know, from 2008 to 2020, you know, in 2009, again in 2000, you saw a lot of people selling a lot of put options against the equity markets, and they got wrecked, right? They got wrecked the whole way. Markets are going up. Markets are going up. What are we looking at right now? Let me check in with all of you. All right. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar has popped out over the resistance. And we also wanted to look at the New Zealand dollar. Jimmy asked earlier today, I'm sorry, Jimmy, wanted to look at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Take a look at that in 1 second. Interesting. So this is, I mean, my world is good, right? I couldn't understand the Canadian dollar in this environment outperforming the Australian dollar. Nice to see this breakout occurring over here. I want to just look at it on the higher time frame to see what's overhead and what's next. And you can see this level over here at 0.95. Let me draw that in. An important level to watch out for, right? We could see up there. But beautiful. Jimmy wanted to check out the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. I definitely want to take a look at that. And, you know, so what do you do here with the New Zealand dollar, US dollar? All right. So first things first. We have in 24 minutes ISM dollar, which is down on the day. I could see the dollar triggering off that, right? If we get a strong ISM print, you know, what's the dollar going to do? I don't know. That's what we're looking to see what happens. All right. So back to the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. You're trading towards this resistance over here, right? Are you in an uptrend or a downtrend? Perspective, right? Downtrend, resistance. I could sell that, right? Zoom in, March lows, pull back into supports. Were you a buyer down over here? Are you a buyer off of this pullback over here, right? I mean, all those things are valid setups and trades that you can take. You could be looking to buy off the support, right? Whether it was down over here at the 0.6381 or this support over here earlier in the week, right? At 0.64957, or you could be looking to sell this resistance right over here right now. You could look to sell this resistance if we're rejected. What would that look like, right? It would mean that here on the 8-hour time frame, you start soaring the New Zealand dollar, making lower lows than the previous price bar. And to get a trigger, it's got to happen during the London session. All right. So both of those things are in play. Does this look like the best pair to be focused on? It's been actually ranging nicely over here. It has got some volatility to it, some momentum, and it's also trading technically right now. So yeah, not bad to focus over here. Is that a very long term? Right, it is a long term resistance. So that's why if anyone is looking to short off that resistance over there, I can't. Yeah, I see that. Right, and a breakout above, obviously, then right, you're no longer looking to be selling in this moment. You're looking, well, you have resistances above. I'm not leaning towards the short in here. That's for sure. But I see the resistance and anyone shorting. I understand that. I want to take a look at the dollar really quick. Let's see what levels the dollar is coming into, right? Because it is coming. How's this level of support I have over here? 9647. That's where we bottomed out over here and then had two touches. It looks like we're being magnetically pulled back to that right now. It's possible that even before, within the next 20 minutes, you know, we make another leg down. What happens after there is the big test. What does the rest of the calendar look like? Nothing for the rest of the week. So do I think that the market is, even if whatever happens here is going to be a near-term reaction in my view? If we get a really good print that somehow sees the dollar retrace, I'll be looking to sell any retraces on the dollar. DXY is still a higher low right now. It is, but you pulled back into resistance. This is where we were looking for the sell. You have another opportunity to sell over here, right? So that continues to remain the story right now. We are in a downtrend ever since we broke down out of this channel over here. And it is in this moment sell resistances, right? We were looking over here, we were buyers over here, and we never punched through. This was the opportunity to punch through. We were rejected at the resistance. So right now we are back towards dollar weakness and watching what happens over here as we look. Euro continues to keep pushing higher on the session. It keeps pushing higher on the session. You can't get caught on the wrong side of a breakout. That's for sure. What about WTI? WTI continues to be bid. It's unchanged on the session. Is it attractive in right now? Not for me. Not for me. There's no trade. There was again our focus unquestionably from January, mid January down to April was short oil. We saw the slowdown in the economy coming. We were looking for those. We watched all the levels, named them out. Is oil attractive anymore? It's not for me. We're now looking at things that are attractive, such as gold, silver, and Bitcoin, right? That to me is where you want to be looking to position yourself. We have more stimulus coming. We're going to see further. We're seeing printing going on right now, right? Across the globe. And it's going to continue. It's a good comment right there. Yeah. Everyone, you guys seen pullback in the S&P? No, I mean, it looks beautiful. The next thing you're watching for, right? You're watching for a pullback into the support level at 31.53. That's a level you're looking to hold and buy any resumption off of. You also have this trend line over here. Watch it. That also provides support. But above the support over here at 31.54, you're looking to buy pullbacks. And as long as that support holds, that's extraordinarily bullish over here. Markets don't go straight up, they don't go straight down, but why they're going up when they pull back, 0.1%, 0.2%, 0.5%. That's not when you're looking to go ahead and sell and pick a top. Stay on the right side of the market or stay where the momentum is. And if you're having trouble finding out which way that's going, use the true trend. Then just pull up the true trend and it'll help you just keep on the right side of the market. It works on any time frame, right? Oh, I had that up already. So as you're watching over here, by the way, always the first impulse over there provides fantastic entry. On this one also, as the entry CCI is already showing the pullback, as long as this support holds over here, that's like a spring ready to go up. If we do see a pullback, there's nothing right now that would really get me looking to sell the equity markets. That would be looking to pick a top. The earliest signal that we could look for is a break of this trend line right now. That's the earliest signal we could even look for. And we'll have to evaluate at that time what that means, right? Because if we broke this trend line over here, I wouldn't actually think the sellers are in control at all. You got nice support right below it at 30.33 and 29.72, right? So even if a break over here of this trend line, in order for the markets to become bullish at this point, it looks like we got to trade below 29.47, right? 29.47. That would mean at this point that the markets, let me just draw a line over here, that we are looking for further correction in the markets. Let's draw that like that. We have that line waiting for us in the future. What else are we looking at today? By the way, if anyone's enjoying the session, if anyone is, if anyone, I'm going to go back in a second and look at the things that I'm lining up over here. I'm hungry this week after not getting any trades this last week, but I'm going to wait for them and only take them what develops over here. All right. Euro, US dollar. Nice watching it as it breaks out over here. We're looking for a breakout that could take us up pretty high. We could extend easily another 60 pips up over here until we pull back. I'll wait for the pullback and see if the broken resistance levels hold, and then could get me into a trade. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, watching this for sure. Watching this as we've broken here above this resistance, right? Came into the first area of next resistance and is pulling back already. That's lining up. Euro, Australian dollar, I'm not really, it's not just the fact that you could recognize a setup. It's knowing what setup to take, right? So if I saw, right now, I'm not looking to get involved over here. But if I saw a really strong breakout, then I'd be attracted to watching it and see what the retest and resumption looked like. So I'm mildly watching that. Is there anything else? What about the US dollar, Mexican peso as it comes into support over here? To be honest, I have to stand aside. I got actually long dollars, and I'm rethinking that. I got long dollars at 21.80, right? So I'm wondering, if we come back down to that level, if I should just get back into pesos. Are we going to see this risk on continue? We're coming towards the upper end of my range over here where I didn't expect us to break out. And if we're breaking out over here, that's just really bullish. If they're breaking out over here, that means we're going to see a lower dollar versus the peso. And at that point, I think I want to be holding pesos. So it's a fluid situation. Me too, Alexander. It's a fluid situation. Tesla continues to rocket. Rocket. Beautiful. Wow. Are Tesla shorts a thing anymore? Or have they all been wiped out? There used to be like Tesla Q on Twitter. I imagine at this point they're all bankrupt from doing that. Interesting. So it's hard shorting something that has such a strong narrative. But there's nothing else I could say when looking at this chart. But wow. Yeah. Go Tesla. I think Elon Musk is selling shorts right now. He's selling shorts on the Tesla website. It's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. Wow, he must be riding high right now. Good for Elon. Wow, go tulips. That's another way to look at it. But listen, this is the thing that's really important as you mature as an investor, right? You got to be a trader and an investor, and you have to learn that even if something maybe this is fraud, like on the world of Enron, right, and WorldCom. But even if it is, right now this thing was going up, and there's no reason to short it. Right? We looked over here and we watched and we talked about how to short this over here, right? And this was the play. Wasn't going to do it, but we watched it play out. We talked about over here taking profit over here and then getting long again over here. And now, what do you do now? As the Fed is just pumping liquidity through the markets and Tesla is just building up to be the story? What do you do? Well, you don't get shorted. But anyway, interesting to look at. Let's take a look. We have about 12 minutes to the ISM print. I'm looking for a trend day the rest of the day, right? I'm looking to see if we get a trend day. Once that number gets out of the way, we're going to find out. Watching Bitcoin, watching silver, watching gold, all the things that we're trying to bring your attention to, get you focused in on, or what's rising today. What about the currency markets? This is where I'm looking for opportunity. Euro, British pound. I know a lot of you are involved. I wish I was. That's a beautiful setup. Pull back into the support, resumption off. Let's check out the Euro Japanese yen. We're looking at the Euro Japanese yen on a tear over here. This looks like it could extend further. Wow. I think buying pullbacks into support might be the way forward over here. We're just not seeing risk on in the markets. We're seeing the markets actually like water off a duck's back right now with the coronavirus situation. The first wave still continues to grow and rise at an exponential rate. So we're not seeing any lull in that. I thought we were going to see a lull throughout the summer. We're into July and we're not seeing that. That's a surprise for me. That's a surprise for me. The question came up, what about a second wave and what that will do to the markets? I have to be honest, I feel like that everyone is much more prepared if there's a second wave. And I think if there's a second wave, the effects will be less than the first wave. It could mean if we're not seeing any type of, if we saw further close downs of a lot of service jobs, that we might need more stimulus, and we might even need basic income because a lot of these jobs may never come back into the markets. But we're also seeing a lot of layoffs through a lot of companies, and that just means that their profits are going to go up. All those layoffs are going to mean profits are actually going up. We saw the V-type recovery so far in the equity markets, and we might actually see earnings in the economy eventually catch up towards that. That's at least where we need to be leaning towards right now, right? And, I'm the guy that's going to get short and aggressively when it's time. Now's not the time. So just get that in your head. A lot of people over the last couple of weeks, when have become really just bearish because they don't understand. They look at the economy and they're making logical decisions and conclusions that things are not looking good. Elon is the boss, man. No, Elon is really smart. By the way, not just Elon, the way that they do it is they take out loans against their stock. So they never sell their stock. They take out loans against their stock, right? Which you could do with BlockFi, with Bitcoin, because guys, I love Bitcoin, but I'm already looking forward to the day I get to become a Bitcoin bear for the next cycle. Right? It's a 4-year cycle. It's got both bull and bear aspects. Here's the bull aspect. Here's the bear aspect, right? So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's not coming for a while. But, at that point, as you're looking to get out of Bitcoin at the top, or whatever we discern the top of the cycle to be, BlockFi offers 8% interest. That's something that seems attractive to me. We'll talk about the third-party risk as we get closer to that because we're not looking at that right now. Attracted back to the Euro-US dollar. What other pairs is anyone else looking at where we could actually look for opportunity? Because I'm not seeing. I like the way that the market's trading, right? But I'm not seeing a place for the opportunity. I know that Euro British pound was a clean trade that a lot of you got into. I didn't. Where could I get in? Let me take a look around over here. What will be the warning that the bull market is over? I mean, the thing about when the markets are coming off is that, when the markets are down 3%, it's clear and it. The markets, that hasn't been happening. I don't know. I don't think that we need to be talk about when the bull market is over. We have charts. Alexandros, that we've looked at where it shows that 12-year trend line going back, which during the crisis we didn't even break. I'm under the camp, or it's my firm belief that the Fed's actions have been enough. There's going to be further actions and stimulus, and that we're going to see assets continue to be inflated. It is another bubble, but we're not yet looking for that to pop. What it will be, what will cause it, who knows? And I don't think it's possible to know. These zombie corporations could continue to be around for a long decades. So I don't know what NIO is. Let's take a look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar. So this is similar to the US dollar, Mexican peso that I'm looking at support. At the same time, I'm saying to myself, and I'll come back to the US dollar, I don't feel like stepping in front of this time, right? Because we were buyers over here. Right now, we've came back down quickly. And I know the correlation between the equity markets and the US dollar, Mexican peso. I'm looking at the possibility, even though it's against what I believe, that we could break out above 3,200. We have the potential to break out of this range. And right now, it looks like that we are going to test 3,200. So I see a further stronger Mexican peso. Maybe even coming down, testing and/or breaking 21.50, and that would also mean that we could see the Canadian dollar actually make a leg down versus the U.S. dollar. Right? I'm not interested in being a buyer of the US dollar at this moment in time. And that's because we're looking at the DXY showing that weakness. We broke down out of the channel. We're resuming back down. In order for me to become, interested in the dollar, it's at least got to break back above that resistance at 97.83. It can't get above. And if it gets back above that, then maybe it's going to retake this channel. And then 98.30 is the big number. Gets back above there, then we're seeing perhaps the dollar come back towards 100, right? We're far away from that right now, and we're leaning on the side of further dollar weakness right now. And again, we're talking about what's in front of us. We're talking about a swing trader's time frame. We're looking on the 8-hour. We're looking at what right's in front of us. And when you see that the dollar has broken down, it came up, tested this resistance, and is breaking down right now. So Canadian dollar could make further gains versus the dollar, is what that's all about. Yeah, I don't know. See, that's hard for me to tell. Is gold in an uptrend or a downtrend? Right? I mean, I'm gonna get my 4-year-old in here, and I'm gonna ask her, hey, is this going up or is this going down? And I think that's the way to look at it. Look at the chart. If you can't figure it out, look at the chart with the eyes of a 5-year-old and say, is that going up or is that going down? I think that's the best way to do that. Yeah. Square even hurts at like 30 for me. Square even hurts at like 30. Down over here during the crisis. I remember looking at it and being like, that's the only equity company that I think I would even invest in. That's the only equity company I think I would invest in this moment. I mean, if anyone told you that they foresaw this coming, I think they're a liar. I think that they are a liar. I don't think anyone foresaw that coming. And there's no question. I started going long. It's all on the videos. I started going long. It's all on the videos. I started going long the S&P 500 down over here and took some nice trades, right? Getting out between 25.50 and 26.50. And then this area over here, I don't care what anyone says, was so hard to trade because I thought, and all of the smart money thought, we were rolling over and we were coming back and testing those lows, right? That was hard. But I've been bullish for the most part, this whole area and continue to be so. Square is going crazy. I use Forex Factory for all the calendar. This is where I find out what's going. I only look at high impact news events. I can't say that sometimes. If there's nothing going on in the market, I'll move up to medium impact news events as well, or like to just be aware of them. But I focused on the red ones, the high impact news events, and using the calendar on Forex Factory. Just using the calendar tab, you could decide which ones to show. I only show the red ones, right? I only show, and then when I look at the calendar, right? I look at this calendar, and this was the only news event that I was interested in this week. Just because it's a red high impact news event doesn't mean that I'm really focused in on it. If it's a rate meeting that they're not looking to raise or lower rates, it's pretty much a non-event unless they're giving some type of guidance that they will then go on to any type of rate hiking or lowering phase. But there's nothing else going on in the calendar this week to be focused in on. These are small moves, Those are small moves. Guys, it's July, right? It's July 6th today. We're entering summer. We're entering summer trading, which means that you gotta um you just gotta look for a little bit choppiness, and you really want to pick your spots a little bit better. If you see something come off right now, like gold coming off, I mean, that's barely coming off the high over there. Is that the top? Oh, God, how would anyone know? And why would anyone assume that's the top, right? You're not looking to sell gold at any point in time. Gold is in a bull market, and it has the fundamental monsoon behind it. Here we go. Let's see what the dollar does in just a second. It has a monsoon behind it, a tsunami behind it. Gold. You're looking to buy off of any supports, and you're looking to have that mindset of, whether, 12, 24 months from now. Let's see. Right now, gold is in a bull market. Same thing with Bitcoin. Here we go. Up towards the high. Testing the high of the sessions right now. We got the S&P. We're seeing the dollar really muted, not doing anything. I'm assuming the print came in right around as expected. It came in at 51. Oh, wow. It's a huge beat. 57. A huge beat. And that's what we've seen around the world. We're really seeing services come back everywhere. Interesting. All right. Is Ethereum close to breaking out? We should look at that. That is wow. 1300 Tesla is wow. I thought that, I forget her name. Please excuse me. It's called ARK, ARK Invest. And her name escapes me. She has a price target of 5,000 on Tesla. I thought she's out of her mind. If we see, I thought she was out of her mind. Kathy Wood, thank you. Is she? Right? Wow. Yeah, well, if I talk about coffee, right? If I talk about coffee, it also comes out, Andre. 15K is the bull case. All right. Well, all right now. Yeah. So this is awesome. I bet you thought that you guys made a bunch of money at that point, right? And I had a conversation. I had a conversation with my mom. Asked me to talk to my nephew who's graduating high school and headed off to college, who's became interested in the last 3 months in, guess what? Investing. Does he have a Robinhood account? I'm sure of it. He's only interested in the equity markets. So I'm talking to him about Bitcoin right now, as now's the time to position yourself into Bitcoin, especially if you're 18 years old, right? And he's like, well, what about the stock market? What stocks are you invested in? I think company XYZ is really has a good future ahead of it. Yeah, you think? Do you think? Anyway, Amazon. If I would have held or Google IPO that I bought, Facebook IPO that I bought, I should have bought those and never had the intention of selling them. Yeah, I should have had the intentions of passing them on to the future generations and just, collected and reinvested the dividends, mistakes. But here you are right now in 2020, looking forward. Now you want to position yourselves. My wife is the best for calling market tops and bottoms, unquestionably. Have you written it all? No, no, just like I sold them months later for what I thought was great profit, and patted myself on the back. Both Facebook and Google, I sold them and thought, like, yeah, I did great. Like selling Tesla, right? For profit, right? Selling Bitcoin. All right. So where are we today? I'm not seeing that. I really thought that we were going to see this wave of setups in the market. What about this? We're seeing the pound Japanese yen. Actually, we're seeing that weak yen, but we're seeing this into resistance right now, right? We're seeing price being rejected by resistance on the pound Japanese yen. Take note of that. Let me look at some other pound pairs because I'm hungry Tomorrow could be turnaround Tuesday, and that could offer the opportunity. I'm seeing the pound come into resistance on the US dollar and also on the Japanese yen. You can see that strength of the Swiss franc. Interesting. We're not even in a risk on environment. We're seeing that strength of the Swiss franc today. Interesting. Um, what about the New Zealand dollar? New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen off support. US dollar we talked about. Are we seeing the dollar firm up? Yeah, we're seeing the dollar firm up a little bit. And just for of note, by the way, just like I'm not looking for a trend change right here. I said before I wouldn't be surprised to see the dollar firm up, and then I would be looking to sell the dollar for a resumption of that earlier trend. I don't. Yeah, and I bet you thought it was a good trade too, just like I did, selling out of Google and selling out of Facebook. Um, and I at pound Swiss franc. I mean, the rejection was all the way up here. You're now coming down. You're testing an area that you could call also support, 1.1747. What happens here? I mean, I just don't see a trade right now. I don't see a trade right now. What happens if this is support? Let me draw it in. I stay away from those Swiss franc pairs normally. It doesn't mean I wouldn't get involved. Right here, you're looking at the pound Swiss franc. If you break down below that support, do you then look for a retest and resumption down? Maybe that's the trade you're looking for right now. Uh, and watch how price reacts now. Right now, if anyone's in this trade, as you come into the first area of support, it's not even a support. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I just. It's not that attractive to me. No, not lament profits, because if I can lament profits, I would be wailing some some of the some of the trades I put on. But you want to learn from your mistakes. You want to learn from your mistakes, and you want to improve going forward. The only way to do that is to recognize and talk about what you did wrong, why, and then make it relevant to today's situation and market. Right? I listen. If you can't see it, you can't see it. But if not owning Bitcoin at 9,100 a year from now is really going to hurt, and a year from and a half from now is really going to hurt because you were aware of it, you knew of it. In hindsight, you're going to be like, yeah, I could see it. The Fed just started QE as Bitcoin entered the halvening, starting its bull cycle, regardless of what the Fed is doing. But what is the Fed doing? It's being extraordinary, accommodative, blowing asset bubbles. Blowing asset bubbles. It's the environment that Bitcoin was actually created for. So there we go. I don't have Bitcoin and don't plan to buy any. Well, the good thing about this is that you're going to have, you're going to be able to watch this 4-year halving cycle play out. And this is the portion that we're getting ready to enter. Is this, right? We watched once Bitcoin made new highs over here, it went 20x. It went 20x in this period right here. This is the last halving. And right now, if I entering another halving, let me do that for it. Let me just show it you right here then. Oh, sorry, I don't have the halving. I want to get this on the chart for you because it's going to really help right now. I mean, if you don't own Bitcoin, that's okay because you're learning about it now, at least. And you have 4 years from now, this is all going to play out again. So this is the halving right here, right? And you're now getting ready to enter as Bitcoin, makes the new all-time high at 20x. At 20,000. Could it go 10, 20x from there? Well, it's it could, at least the 5x from there. But guess what? There's going to be another halving in 2024, and that's going to be as we're entering the next bull market. and you're going to have the opportunity then. Yeah, I'm sure Bitcoin's going to be trading around $110,000, 4 years from now. But you'll have the opportunity to get in as Bitcoin is making its run towards a 500,000. So that's okay if you don't own Bitcoin right now. Watch it for the next 4 years and learn about it so that you are ready for the next bull cycle as it comes. Short the S&P. Oh, short at 3,000. That seems that seems a little dangerous. 3,000, it was the support we were looking to buy in. Jordan, the problem is that a lot of people got hurt when the Bitcoin bubble popped and now they're a bit scared. Yeah, Duarte, 100%. And that's what's going to lead to the next Bitcoin bull market is the fact that you have a lot of people who during this bull market got really hurt buying in at the top. It's going to happen again. There's going to be all of these people. This lasted for a very short amount of time. This lasted 12 days. There's going to be a lot of people. I have friends that bought it in 19,000. A friend that bought it in 19,000. He's still holding that Bitcoin though. And that's the difference between smart money and money who's just speculative learning about it. But a lot of people definitely, this is going to happen again. This is going to happen again where Bitcoin goes off 83%, 80%, 85% from the highs that we're going to see in 2022. 2021, December, probably around there. November is the high, could be January. From then on, we're entering this bull market. It's going to happen again, but we'll be prepared. And as the bottom of it, as best as we can time it, which if we look at the stock to flow chart is the green. I think it's 24 months, exactly 2 years. Could be 30. I think it's 24 months until the next halving. That is the place for us to go ahead and all that money we had sitting in dollars collecting 8%, come in here and step in and rebuy Bitcoin. Because at that point, we'll probably be, who knows, you're probably growing you're probably increasing your Bitcoin holding by well over 100% by getting towards the top of the cycle into cash and then buying back in towards the bottom of the cycle. And there it is. That's all you need to do is that one move and then continue holding through the next cycle, right? So every 4 years, the easiest way to play it is just buying in towards the top of the cycle and then the bottom. So either which way, I mean, a lot of people did get burned. A lot of people don't believe Bitcoin is going to go on to make new all-time highs. A lot of people don't believe that Bitcoin is going to trade at $100,000. And a lot of people will not participate in those moves, but they will, or, whether it's $50,000, $100,000, then they're going to want to buy in. They're going to be FOMOing in. It's not just people. It's for real going to be funds and institutions, maybe even soon pension funds. It's going to be governments. Listen, it's what to talk about. Yeah, euro, Canadian dollar. We've looked at this earlier in today, and we're seeing the euro coming back up towards the top of this range over here, the resistance. Now, normally, this has been a good place going back over the last few months to lean in and to sell the euro Canadian dollar and any type of rejection downwards. Is this the place to continue? I mean, the euro, when you look at the euro right here being rejected in this second at this resistance over here, but again, that's not a surprise. We were looking, ready for the dollar to retrace up, and the move now is looking to sell into resistance, right? Watch what happens with the euro this week. Euro, Canadian dollar. It's sideways. In a sideways market, you could sell the resistance, buy supports, and then you watch. If you get a breakout, you can see that this was a false break. This was a false break. Over here, this was a false break. Our method keeps us from ever taking an entry on this over here. There's no way for us to get in. If you get a break above that resistance, right, and a confirmation to the upside, I think you want to be looking at the long over there on the euro, Canadian dollar. Euro right now is it's on the verge of putting another leg up. And regardless of whether you think that the euro warrants that or not, it doesn't really matter. We're just following what's happening. No, we're not seeing a sell off on the Dow right now. No, there's we're not seeing a sell off on the Dow right now. Yeah, there's a daily. Yeah. So by the way, if you're seeing a sell off on the Dow right now, you you know, John, this is up on the session at or near the highs. Tom pointed out the so listen. As soon as you enter, this is like listen. If you're starting at zero, as you enter a trade, you put in your stop loss. As you enter the trade, the stop loss is in there. You're looking for that stop loss to get hit every trade you enter. You have the mentality that as you enter the trade, the stop loss is going to get hit. You have the stop loss in there, and you view anytime that happens as a success. I mean, of course, unless you have a problem with setting your stop losses too tight. If you're setting your stop losses too tight, that's an obvious problem to really to be able to rectify pretty quickly. But you got to have your stop loss in. Listen, it's true that by letting winners run is how you're successful, cutting losers short, which means to let winners run, you're going to have a series of trades that go into profit and then get stopped out. You have to be mentally prepared for what it looks like to be a successful trader. And that's not, commenting or looking right now or thinking that the Dow right now is topping out over here. The Dow is trading to the top of the sessions. NASDAQ also, right? Everything's trading up on the day. If you think this is coming too far too fast, or if you thought it did over here and we're due for a pullback, then the best thing to do is go down, and look for the next support, where the next support is in the market. So let's look on the NASDAQ right now, horizontal line, right? So right now, here was the last bit of resistance that we pulled back into. That's the next area that I would be looking for support. Where's some big support? I got big support down here at 101.57. Right? Let me draw that line in also. I'm looking in an uptrending bull market. Is the NASDAQ in a bull market? Well, it would be hard to argue that since March, it's not in a bull market. Right? Since the low it put in, that it's making new all-time highs. Or if you take it, even if the NASDAQ is in a huge bull market, you're looking to buy off supports. You're looking to buy pullbacks into supports. Is this the market top that we're seeing today? And are we going to see this roll over and test the March lows? Maybe, but until I reach a proven technical level where things are now falling apart, I can't imagine looking to pick the top here. So those are basic things. If you're struggling with those things though, you should be focused on the currency markets, trading the 8-hour time frame. They are the best markets. You're going to make much more money and you're going to improve your trading. So listen, the markets, when I say markets, I mean U.S. equity markets, NASDAQ, S&P, Dow. If you're looking to day trade them, you're probably not doing well. You could look to swing trade them, but you're going to have much more success focusing on right here where you can make your money on the foreign exchange. I can't imagine that people would be shorting or looking to short right now. And there's just no reason for it. We're watching. The calendar is also weak, by the way. When I say the calendar is also weak, the rest of the week, there's not really much going on. So is there, even if we see cases rise, the market's been aware of that. I mean, I don't see anything out of the ordinary going on that should put in a market top here or give us any indication that we're looking for a market top, whether this could be anything, just keep it simple because the markets are so complicated. Right now, looking for pullbacks into supports. I'm looking for where I can make my money this week on the cross pairs. Is this now setting up a possible opportunity here as we're pulling back from the resistance? Right? If the next bar were to go ahead and make higher highs, unfortunately, it would be during the ease in session. I would not take that signal if price made that higher high right away. So the next area that I'm watching is London. On London, I'm probably have to wait to see if there is a breakout, and then it has me on the sidelines waiting for the right time to enter. That's where I am right now. I don't see a wave breaking. I don't see a wave. This might come the London session offer opportunity, and I'll see what happens. I'll see what happens later in the Asian session. Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to buy Bitcoin. There's so many different places. I think Coinbase is the worst. Going back to 2017, Coinbase was really easy. I could tell my mom to do it. She could do it. I recommend BlockFi right now. BlockFi to me is the new Coinbase. It's the easiest way to buy Bitcoin. Yeah, you could store it with them, but you have to use secure practices. What does that mean? That means using an email that nobody knows about. That means using two-factor authentication. That means knowing how not to get swim stopped. That means using whitelisted addresses. That's the thing about Bitcoin is once you go down there, you need to do your research. Do you keep your trade size the same? My risk is the same, not my trade size. So, Mitch, I mean, this is right. So that's another thing. Great point, Mitch. We've seen the Fed lowering their balance sheet. It's not really the Fed lowering their balance sheet. The Fed is still doing QE. I think we're all down to about 3 billion a day from 5 billion. But you are seeing the swamp lines being paid back, which is actually lowering the Fed's balance sheet. You are seeing those swamp lines being paid back. They're about halfway paid back. That is lowering the Fed's balance sheet, but that's not coming from a reduction in QE. And you are seeing QE coming across the globe from Japan, from Europe. So that's also keeping liquidity going in the markets. The Fed is not actually tightening right now. You're seeing the swamp lines being paid back, and you're seeing the market reaction not only to that, but also to again, we saw all the selling take place of the pension funds late in June. You're seeing the market trading up nicely. We're not seeing any signs of any top right now. We're seeing a nice bull day actually. Market's up very healthy today. Any pullbacks, look to buy into support. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's beautiful, Anaya. All the moves on the S&P seem to be trading during London and Asia. I mean, listen, you all know why I am a big proponent of having the ability to be able to trade, around the clock. And, that's included here on the US indices. If you're limited, you're limited. The markets are already, quite a challenge. You want to have edges on your side. One of those edges, in my view, is being able to trade in and out of positions. I don't like that foreign exchange is closed over the weekends. You can't do anything if you're in a position. I do like Bitcoin, trading it on exchanges that are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have that ability to position in and out of Bitcoin at any time. Those are advantages. So, Edward, CDFs or leveraged Bitcoin. XBT BitMEX's Bitcoin is not a CDF. Uh, but it is for leverage trading of Bitcoin. I feel like you got to be really smart to be able to trade leveraged. You got to be really smart and really aware of your risk. I would, generally speaking, not use any more than 2 to 3 times leverage if you're trading Bitcoin with leverage. Otherwise, most likely you're going to get wrecked. But that's a good amount, and if you're able then to really understand how risk works, you could do pretty well. If you're trading Bitcoin with something like FX Choice, though, listen, it's not open on the weekends. There's, again, there's a difference also between trading Bitcoin as your base account. If you're looking at an asset that is getting ready to do a 10x, in 18 months, perhaps that's the asset you want to use as your basic currency. If I told you that the euro was going to appreciate 100% versus the dollar over the next 12 months, would you be trading a FX account in euros or dollars? That's not my term, but that is the term. It's also it's REKT is the way that it's used and spelled. All right, market's kind of stable right now. I don't really see too much opportunity that's going to change throughout the week. By the way, if you're already coming into the session, I don't see, and when I say session, I mean today's trading, outside of those involved on the euro, British pound, which was a nice resumption off that support. I'm not really seeing the opportunity out there just yet. I hope that changes tomorrow. I want to see a nice clear set come in, and get this week going off to the right side. Start bringing in some tacos, right? Nevertheless, nice to see gold, nice to see silver, nice to see Bitcoin all trading up, as well as the markets. Let me just check in on silver here. 1840 is the number you're looking at. Yeah, I think it's getting ready to break it to the upside. Max, it's a good call on there. I should have that on my chart as we're up into it now, and it's been such an important level. Again, even if you're rejected here, Max, great to know and great to see the resistance that you were up against, but have that mindset, buying off supports. It's great if you're able to foresee what's going to happen. It doesn't mean that you need to also be involved. It's almost as beneficial to you. You might not think so because you're not seeing your P&L go up. You're not seeing your account grow by being able to say, well, at this point, this will happen, and then watch it happen. But it is developing your skill set as a trader, and you only want to trade and take things that are in line within your trading plan, right? And generally speaking, just even though it's resistance, trying to pick a top, that's I don't sell tops. Yeah, it depends where you live in the world, John. But there are so many ways. Goldmoney.com, Peter Schiff, our good friend Peter Schiff. You could check out his website, which is probably Schiff Gold. Gold Money is a good one. Mike Maloney has a service for buying and selling, storing silver. You could use APMX in the States. There's so many ways you could buy silver. Yeah, Miguel, this is the way to do it. For Europe. Coin Invest. Is that to get physical, Andy? There's different things. You could get some physical gold bars and silver bars and coins. A lot of people definitely get the coins, or you could look to hold physical bars, for example, of silver in a vault somewhere else. All good things. Storing silver, gold at home, it's not the most convenient, as well as moving around with it. That's one of the downsides. That's one of the upsides of Bitcoin. Yeah, Steve, just gold in general. It's you could forge it. Tungsten bars. Got a big problem in China, but the market. What's the market doing? It's shaking it off, Steve. That's what we're looking at over here. If they found an asteroid that they were able to mine that was all gold, that would probably affect the gold market. But outside of that, and that was a wild example, it doesn't. I think we have the fundamentals aligned up over here. Nothing's going to derail gold right now, in my mind. That's not mean we're not going to have any pullbacks, but doesn't mean that at all. Are we going to have a crisis? Well, if we do, We could expect more of that. This was only 15% pullback during this crisis. In 2008, it was a 30% pullback. That's significant to me. That's significant to me in gold's place going forward. Things that I pay attention to, things that I look at. We got a question here about Mexico. Is Mexico changed the cost of everything when the peso volatility? Could you still live down there? Yeah, the peso is volatile. I tell you what, there was a piece of real estate we wanted to sell back in 2013. The peso was a lot stronger back then, trading at around $13, 12 $13. And the property had appreciated significantly. That was the time to get out. There's no question that the depreciation in the peso since hurt that real estate investment, but as far as, living day to day, that, that doesn't affect us whatsoever. But on a big investment like that, you're talking about, $1 million piece of a real estate, and then watching the exchange rate go, from 12 or 13 to 22, that's a big difference. That's a big difference. Yeah, Andy, I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining in. Summer trading. Summer trading, now's the time to prepare for the fall. We have to hone our skills. September, October, right? December, going to be some good months, big moves. We want to be there to capture them all. We're going to find out what's going on this week. I'm not seeing the opportunity yet, right? Nice to see the long Bitcoins taking effect over here, but we're going to watch it. Look forward to tomorrow. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks, Isan. Thank you too. All right, everyone. I'll talk to you tomorrow.